Okay, this is a video tutorial for installing the Paramak in Ubuntu. So you might have come across this code on our GitHub where we develop the code, or our documentation where we describe how to use the code, or elsewhere. There are installation instructions in the documentation, and in general there's two ways of approaching it. One is to use exclusively Conda only, and the other option is to use Conda and a bit of pip. So this is all documented on the Read the Docs website, but I'm going to go through this now. All of these links will be in the video description, so it should be straightforward. So first of all, we're going to need Anaconda. So if I head over to Anaconda, I see there's an individual edition, and that can just be downloaded. And there you say it's going to be saved as, and that will download to my downloads folder. So I'm now going to open a terminal by holding Control, Alt and T all together, and I am going to type in bash tilde downloads. That should autocomplete, and there should be a file called Anaconda. So I press enter, and I'm now pressing enter to continue again, and this is the license agreement. I've read this before, so I'm just skipping through, and then it will ask me to type in yes to agree, and then the path where I want to install it. So I'll install this now. It will take a while, and I'll be right back. Okay, it's got to the end of the install, and it's asking me if I want to initialize it, so I'm going to press yes. And now you can see that we're running Anaconda in the base environment. If this doesn't happen, just close down the terminal and reopen it. There you go. Maybe I should just do that as well to be totally sure. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this alongside with the documentation. So the first stage is to do Conda create, so I'm highlighting that, and I'm just middle mouse clicking to paste it into the terminal. And it's prompting me saying, do I want to proceed installing all these packages? So it's finished installing, and it says to activate this environment, please use that. So this is also the second line in the installation instructions, so highlighted, middle mouse button to paste. And now you see I'm in Paramak ENV instead of the base environment. So from here I can type in Conda install with all the channels. So there's a channel for Fusion Energy, a channel for getting CadQuery, and a channel for Conda Forge, which gets lots of great Python packages. So I'm going to run that, and this will also take a little while, and I'll be back when this is finished. It's just prompting me to say why to proceed, so I'm just saying why, and then it's going to work through and install all these packages with specific versions, and that's what Conda's great at doing, managing all the dependencies and integration between packages. So there's quite a lot which will be installed now. Okay, that's just finished installing, so I should just try running Python. And you can see that's Python 3.8 because that's the version we specified when we made the environment. And now that I'm inside Python, I'm going to import Paramak. And this import seems to work, and we can now do Paramak commands. We could do myReactor equals Paramak dot all reactor, and we could get a bool reactor, and we could export it as a step file. So that's made a 3D bool reactor, and it's exported it as a step file. So we now have to view that step file, and one option for viewing that is to use FreeCAD. So FreeCAD is an open source package, and it will allow you to view not just step files but other CAD geometry. It's available for all the major operating systems, and we're going to use it on Ubuntu. So I would download Linux. I've already downloaded and installed it. So if I type in FreeCAD and then my file name, it could open it. And then I'm going to zoom out, and I see it's made a 360-degree model. So we'll make a 181 later. But you can do things like clipping planes here and have a look inside. There we go. So FreeCAD is great for viewing the 3D geometry and very powerful. There's other options, so you could also install Jupyter Labs, which you can install via Conda like this. And again, that's just asking me if I want to proceed. So I put in yes, and it's going ahead and installing the packages. So to launch Jupyter Lab, I will just do this from a new folder. So I've made a new folder and I'm just moving into that. To launch Jupyter Lab, now that it's installed, I just type in Jupyter Lab with a space between it, and it loads up a URL into my browser, and I can make a new notebook in there. I'm just going to go back to the Paramak documentation now, and I'll put the documentation on one side and Jupyter Labs on the other, because in this documentation we have example reactors. So I can make any of these, and I will make this one. So I'm just going to copy this code and paste it in there. And to run these code blocks, you hold Shift and Enter. And then at the end, I'm going to do myreactor.export. And you can see all the options, but let's do step. So we could call it myreactor.stp. So you can see you can run the Paramak from the Jupyter notebooks as well. But the real benefit of the Jupyter notebook is this package here. So this is called Jupyter CadQuery, and if you install this as well as Jupyter notebooks, you'll be able to view the 3D geometry in your Python environment while you're coding. So it's in the installation instructions for the Paramak as an option, but it's also very easy to install just with a pip install command. So I'm going to go back to my terminal, and then I'm going to exit by holding Control and C, and then I would type in that pip install Jupyter CadQuery, and that installs very quickly. And then I will launch Jupyter Labs again, and this time we should have the ability to show the geometry in the browser. So instead of myreactor.export step, I'm going to do show with brackets afterwards, and that's loaded up. So I will just full screen this so we can see it better. And now you see you've got your 3D geometry, which you can hide components of if you like, or you can do clipping and slice through parts of it to view the internals, or many other things, but it's right in the browser with your code. So something you can do now is on the fly change the blanket thickness, blanket radial thickness. It used to be 50, and now I'm going to change it up to 200. So Shift and Enter to rerun the code and rebuild the model. And when I rotate this new model, you can see the blanket, the green part, is much larger than before. So that's what the Paramak's all about, making parametric CAD geometry, and there's tons of variables to change to make these different parametric reactor classes. So the one I was making has all these options for adding coils and moving things. But this was a guide to install, so in general we have the GitHub repository. You will need Anaconda. There are installation instructions on the read the docs, and CadQuery is a powerful tool which works with CadQuery Jupyter, but you can also use FreeCAD for opening up the exported files. And there's just one last thing that I will show, which is really nice, because if you don't have, or if you don't want to install FreeCAD and you don't want to do the programming for Jupyter notebooks, then you can export as a HTML file, portable .html, and then anyone with a web browser can open this file. So it's rendering the file, but it's also saved it, and I'll load that up now. So I'll just close Jupyter Notebooks, and you see we've got a file called portable. So if I open it in Firefox, portable. So this is loaded in a file, not a URL as such, but you can see I've got a nice CAD geometry in the browser that anyone can open. Great, thanks for listening, good luck installing.